Let me begin with a simple image. Hold out your hand. Now imagine placing sand in your palm, a fine, golden, shimmering pile. If you keep your hand open, the sand rests there gently. But the moment you clench your fist, the sand starts to escape through the cracks. The tighter you hold on, the faster it slips away. Now pause. Ask yourself, how many things in your life follow this same pattern? How many people did you drive away by clinging too tightly? How many opportunities dissolved the moment you tried to control them? How many moments of peace were shattered the instant you reached out to grasp them? You see, there is a strange rule woven into the fabric of existence, a rule that feels almost cruel until you understand it. Nothing real can be held by force, and everything you grip too tightly will, by its nature, try to escape. We lose what we cling to. We exhaust what we try to possess. We break what we refuse to let breathe. The Stoic path is not about ownership. It is about relationship. It's about learning to walk through life with open hands, not clenched fists. Because life is not a possession. Life is a guest. It stays only as long as you welcome it with gentleness. The nature of water. Why control always fails. Consider water. If you try to grab it, it runs away. Curl your fingers around it and it slips through every space it can find. But if you open your hands and let the water rest on your palms, it stays. Life behaves the same way. Try to control your thoughts. They multiply and attack you. Try to force someone to love you. They recoil. Try to cling to a moment of happiness. It dissolves. Try to guarantee a future. It laughs. Water resists the rigid hand but flows with the open one. And the Stoic knows this intimately. Control is an illusion we cling to only when we are afraid. Fear makes us tighten our grip on people, on outcomes, on identities, on certainty. But fear never holds anything together. Fear only crushes the very thing we're desperate to keep. So breathe. Open the fist. Let the water rest. Let life move as it must. Why humans cling? The ego's hidden panic. Why do we hold so tightly? Why do we clutch, grasp, and cling even when we know it brings suffering? The answer is subtle. The self is terrified of impermanence. It believes that to be safe, it must freeze life into place. It says, this person must stay. This moment must last. This feeling must not fade. This situation must remain the same. But life cannot be frozen. Life moves, breathes, evolves, dissolves, returns. To cling is to argue with the very structure of existence. And yet the ego persists in its panic. It fears that if it loosens its grip, everything will fall apart. But here is the quiet truth the ego doesn't want you to discover. What is real does not require your grip. What belongs will remain. What is meant will breathe with you, not because of you. And what is not meant will leave no matter how tightly you hold. Clinging doesn't secure anything. It only exhausts the one clinging. The pain of attachment. When love becomes possession. There is a form of love that suffocates, a love that tries to own, a love that demands guarantees, a love terrified of loss. But anything you try to possess loses its ability to breathe beside you. You cannot grip a person into staying. You cannot tighten your fists around someone's freedom and then call it love. The moment love becomes possession, it begins to decay. The Stoic honors love by releasing the need to own it, by letting others be who they are, not what we want them to be. This is why open hands hold more than closed fists ever could. When you stop gripping people with fear, you create space for them to choose you freely. And choice is where real connection lives. The futility of forcing the future. Let's talk about the future. That vast, undefined landscape we're constantly trying to control. We plan, We predict, we strategize, we build mental simulations hoping that if we think hard enough, we can bend the future to our will. But the future is like a bird. The moment you reach out to grab it, it flies. You are not meant to hold the future. You are meant to move with it. The Stoic walks forward without grasping, without demanding certainty, without forcing outcomes. Not because he lacks ambition, but because he understands a deeper truth. Peace is not found in control. Peace is found in alignment. The future is not a possession. It is a conversation. You act. Life responds. You adjust. Life unfolds. No gripping. No forcing. No desperate attempts to pin down the wind. The paradox of happiness. The more you chase it, the more it runs. Have you ever noticed that happiness hides the moment you go looking for it? You say, "I must be happy," and suddenly happiness retreats. You say, "I must relax," and tension increases. You say, "I must not be anxious," and anxiety grows. This is the paradox of happiness. The harder you try to hold it, the more it slips away. Happiness is like a butterfly. Chase it, and it escapes. Sit still, and it may land on your shoulder. The Stoic does not chase happiness. He creates the inner conditions in which happiness can arise naturally, like a flower blooming in its own season. Happiness comes to those who are not clawing at it, not forcing it, not demanding it. It comes to those who are simply present, open, attentive, unclenched. The hands that grasp cannot receive. The heart that fears cannot feel. When life teaches you to let go. Life, in its strange and compassionate wisdom, has a way of teaching us what we refuse to learn gently. If we cling to something too tightly, life eventually pries our fingers away, not to punish us, but to free us. We are not meant to live with cramped hands and tense shoulders. We are meant to move fluidly through the world, unburdened by the impossible task of preventing change. Sometimes life removes things before we're ready, not because we're losing, but because we've been holding on for too long. And life knows what we forget. Letting go is the only way anything new can enter. The fear beneath every tight grip. If you look closely, you'll notice that beneath every act of clinging lies a simple, trembling truth. You are afraid. Afraid to lose what feels familiar. Afraid to be alone with yourself. Afraid that life won't return what it once gave you. Afraid that without control, everything will collapse. But fear is not a sign of weakness. Fear is a sign that you are human. Still, you must understand something essential. Fear tightens. Fear contracts. Fear clutches at life as though life were slipping through your fingers like smoke. But when has fear ever held anything together? Say it honestly. Think of your own past. Has fear ever preserved a relationship? Has it ever protected your peace? Has it ever strengthened your sense of self? Has it ever kept the future from happening? Fear weakens what it tries to protect. It suffocates what it tries to preserve. It blinds what it tries to guide. So the question is not whether fear appears. Fear will always appear. The question is, will you let fear tighten your grip, or will you let awareness soften it? Once you see fear clearly, without judgment, the grip naturally loosens. It no longer needs to hold on. It no longer needs to protect. It no longer needs to control. Fear shrinks in the presence of awareness, like a shadow disappearing under the light, the ego that cannot let go. There is another player in this drama of clinging, the one who whispers, "Hold on tighter, don't let go, you need this to be okay." This voice is the ego, the identity you've assembled over the years through memory, habit, insecurity, praise, and pain. The ego clings because it believes it is fragile. It believes that without possessions, achievements, attachment, it will collapse into nothingness. So it grabs onto everything it can. Roles, titles, relationships, routines, opinions, grudges, narratives, anything that reinforces the illusion of a solid, permanent self. But the deeper truth is this: the self you cling to is the very thing that keeps you from freedom. You don't need to destroy the ego, only to stop letting it grip the steering wheel of your life. When the ego loosens, your experience of the world becomes spacious. You stop reacting, you stop panicking, you stop needing constant validation, you stop fearing change. A relaxed ego is not empty, it is open, and openness is what allows life to flow instead of shatter. Letting go of expectations, the greatest freedom. Expectations are invisible chains. They look harmless. They sound reasonable, but they bind you more tightly than anything else in the world. When you demand that life unfold according to the script in your mind, you suffer. When you expect others to behave exactly the way you prefer, you suffer. When you expect yourself to never falter, to never feel lost, to never be wrong, you suffer. Life does not follow your expectations, because life is not your servant. People do not follow your expectations because they are not your possessions, and you do not need to follow your expectations because you are not a machine. The Stoic drops expectations not out of cynicism, but out of clarity. When you let go of how things should be, you finally see them as they are. And strangely, almost magically, this is when peace appears. Without expectations, life stops slipping away. It begins to reveal itself. The mind's illusion of control. The mind is cunning. It constantly tries to convince you that safety comes from gripping harder. But control is not safety. Control is stress. Control is tension. Control is an endless fight against the natural flow of life. Let me ask you something honestly. When has life ever obeyed your control? Did your body grow because you controlled it? Did the seasons change because you willed them to? Did people always act the way you wanted? Did your emotions always stay within the lines you drew? Control is a story the mind tells itself to avoid surrender. But surrender is not the enemy. Surrender is alignment. It is the recognition that you are part of nature, not the ruler of it. You are a wave in the ocean, not the ocean itself. Try to force the sea to be still, and you will drown in exhaustion. But breathe with the waves, move with the tides, and the ocean carries you effortlessly. Why life feels lighter? When you loosen your grip, there is a moment, subtle yet powerful, when something inside you unclenches. Maybe it happens during a deep breath, maybe after a long cry, maybe after a difficult truth finally lands, maybe after watching the sunset and realizing you can't force it to stay in the sky. And in this moment of inner release, you feel something unusual: lightness. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens, your breath deepens, your thoughts quiet. It feels like stepping out of a cramped room you didn't realize you'd been trapped in. This is what happens when you stop gripping life. You make space, you reconnect with yourself. You start to feel peace without needing a reason. And the most beautiful part, life moves more smoothly when you stop trying to muscle it into shape. Opportunities arise when you stop forcing them. Conversations flow when you stop rehearsing them. Relationships deepen when you stop trying to control them. Your path becomes clearer when you stop obsessing over every step. Life was never asking you to hold it tightly. Life was asking you to move with it. Softly, curiously, open-handedly. The wisdom of the open hand. Let's return to the symbol of the open hand. The open hand doesn't force, doesn't demand, doesn't cling. It allows. It receives. It releases. The open hand is not passive. It is wise. It knows that life is not a thing to be captured, but an experience to be lived. It knows that love cannot be forced, that peace cannot be gripped, that time cannot be stored, that people cannot be possessed. The open hand trusts that what is meant will land, what is ready will stay, what is finished will leave, and what is true will return. This is not resignation. This is alignment with reality. Clenching is resistance. Opening is wisdom. Opening is courage. Opening is freedom. The art of allowing. Letting life move through you. There is a profound shift that happens when you stop trying to force life into shapes it was never meant to take. Allowing is not the same as apathy. It is not giving up. It is not drifting without intention. Allowing means you participate fully in life without suffocating its natural movement. It means you act, but you do not cling to outcomes. You love, but you do not imprison the beloved. You hope, but you do not demand perfection. You walk, but you do not insist on a straight path. Allowing life to unfold means understanding that you are not the sculptor of destiny. You are the dancer moving with it. And when you finally begin to allow, to open, to trust, you discover a strange and peaceful truth. Life is far more generous when you stop trying to control it. The river does not drown you when you swim with the current. It carries you, the quiet strength of letting go. Letting go is often misunderstood. People think it means forgetting, erasing, or abandoning. But letting go doesn't mean losing something. It means losing your grip on it. It means releasing the tension in your chest that insists, "This must go my way." Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is an act of immense inner strength, because holding on tightly is the easy thing. It's what fear wants. But loosening your grip takes courage. It takes trust. It takes a willingness to step into the unknown. And ironically, the moment you let go is the moment life begins to support you again. Like the branch that bends in the wind instead of resisting it. Like the bird that does not cling to the sky, it flies through. Like the tide that pulls back only to return again. Letting go is nature's wisdom expressing itself through you. When holding on breaks you, there is a cost to clinging. A cost you may not notice at first, like a rope slowly burning into your hands as you refuse to release it. Clinging creates tension in your body, in your breath, in your relationships, in your ambitions, in your very sense of self. You start to believe that your survival depends on maintaining control, but nothing could be further from the truth. Clinging breaks you because it pits you against the natural flow of life. You cannot stop change. You cannot freeze time. You cannot hold a sunset in place. You cannot make someone stay when their heart has already left. Trying to do so is a battle you are destined to lose. Not because you are weak, but because the battle was never yours to fight. The cost of clinging is losing yourself in the struggle to keep what was never meant to be permanent. When you finally release, what comes next? There is a moment after the clinging ends that feels like falling. A moment of emptiness. A moment of fear. A moment when the ego whispers, "See, you've lost. You've failed." But keep breathing. Stay with the openness. Stay with the space. Because immediately after that moment comes something extraordinary. Relief. Not the relief of escape, but the relief of truth. When you release what no longer fits, you free your hands to receive what does. Life cannot fill a fist, but it can fill an open palm. What comes after letting go is not loss, but clarity. Not emptiness, but spaciousness. Not loneliness, but alignment. And eventually, something even deeper arrives. Trust. Trust in life. Trust in change. Trust in the unknown. Trust in yourself. You realize you never needed to cling. You only needed to allow. The deepest form of love is freedom. Consider the people you love. Consider how instinctively you want to hold on to them, to keep them safe, to keep them close, to keep them unchanged. But love breathes only in open space. To love someone is not to grip them tightly. It is to say, I trust you enough to be free. I trust the connection enough to let it grow without force. I trust life enough to let it bring what is meant to stay and release what is meant to pass. This is the love that doesn't suffocate. This is the love that doesn't demand. This is the love that nurtures rather than binds. And it is only found when you loosen your grip. Because the harder you hold on to a person, the more you lose the very thing you were trying to protect. But when you offer freedom, something beautiful happens. Love begins to breathe again. Everything you let go returns in a new form. Letting go is not the end of the story. Everything you release changes, transforms, evolves, and often returns in a new and unexpected form. The dream you couldn't force returns as wisdom. The relationship that ended returns as self-respect. The failure you feared returns as resilience. The emptiness you avoided returns as peace. Life recycles everything you learn to release. This is the secret harmony of the universe. Nothing real is ever lost. It simply changes shape so you can grow with it. The closing meditation. Open your hands. Now, take a slow breath in. Let it rise gently. Let it fall. Close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Notice the tension in your body, the small ways you've been gripping life without even realizing it. Your jaw, your shoulders, your chest, your hands. Softly, unclench. Let everything loosen just a little. Now imagine that same hand holding sand. Feel the instinct to grip it. Feel the fear that if you don't hold tightly, you'll lose everything. And now, slowly open the hand. Notice how the sand settles. Notice how the tension dissolves. Notice how peace appears the moment force disappears. All your life you have been trying to hold on. To people, to moments, to identities, to control, to expectations, to certainty. But life is not asking you to grip harder. Life is asking you to open. Open your hands. Open your mind. Open your heart. Open your breath. Open your expectations. Open your fear. Open the tight places within you that have been clinging for so long. And listen closely. What is meant for you will never require you to grip it. What is true does not fear freedom. What is aligned does not slip away. What belongs does not run. What stays does so willingly. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is allowing life to finally reach you. The harder you hold on, the faster life slips away. But the moment you release, you discover something timeless, something steady, something deeply, quietly miraculous. Life has been waiting for you to open your hands so it can finally give you what was always yours. Breathe. Open. Let life move through you. Let life move with you. And trust. You lose nothing by loosening your grip. You gain everything.